Welcome to Direction Northeast. Hello, I'm Kid Alexander. This program is a presentation of the Communications Department of Northeast State Community College. This week we will be talking about a department designed to assist returning veterans. We'll meet our guests and start our discussion following these messages.
I've learned a lot of things in my life, but there is no substitute for hard work. If you've got the will and determination, doors will always continue to open. Life puts us in the driver's seat. Where we go and what we accomplish is up to us. What's that old saying? When the going gets tough, tough get going.
I don't really get to sit still either.
The Veterans Affairs Office at Northeast State offers to help student veterans to ensure they have everything they need to get through college. This office provides many services to veterans, from the program information and advising to employment resources. With us today to tell us more about this department is Jessica Kelso, Director of Veterans Affairs, and Joni Hughes, a student veteran here at Northeast State. Welcome to the show, guys.
Thanks for having us.
All right. Jessica, I guess let's start with you. If you could tell us a little bit about your role here at the college.
Sure. I have been in the Veterans Affairs office now for about a decade. I've got two other staff members with me. We've got John Adcox and Clancy Anderson. And John has been with us too for about 5 years now. Clancy came on board last semester. Basically what we do, you've already kind of touched on there. We help our incoming student veterans and their family members get enrolled at the college and help them with any benefits they may have and really anything that they need from us. We try to be a one-stop shop, so to speak, and just help our students be as successful in college as they can be.
All right, Joni, and same question to you. You said earlier that you're a student here at Northeast State.
Yes, sir. I started going here back in 2017. Started actually volunteering for Jessica Kelso and the office there, and then eventually I became a student worker. I got involved with the Student Veterans of America chapter here at Northeast State. Became inadvertently the events coordinator, and then learned my role through that leadership, and now I'm president of the Student Veterans, and I'm soon to be the VP of Service through Phi Theta Kappa here on campus.
Wow. How long have you been in that role?
For president of Student Veterans, I got voted in last academic year, so up until May I'll be president for SVA.
So I have a question here for you, Jessica. What students qualify to use your services?
Any military affiliated student, and really what that means is current service members, veterans, family members. So if you are the spouse, the child, you are absolutely welcome to use our services. Yes.
So what services exactly and specifics do y'all offer to vets?
Sure. Like I mentioned, we try to be a one-stop shop. So typically what we will do, we will assist our military affiliated students with the application process to the school. So we will help them get admitted. We will start them off with their financial aid, scholarships, whatever, disability services, whatever it may be that they need. One of our large roles is assisting students with their GI Bill or their tuition assistance. So we basically explain what that means for them, and we help them through the application process so that they can get those benefits.
Also, Jessica, could you tell us a little bit about that process? Exactly
Sure.
what they had to go through to become part of that program?
Okay. As far as GI Bill?
The
Sure.
GI Bill.
It's really fairly simple, to be honest with you, believe it or not. There is an application that students fill out. It's online. It only takes VA about a month or so to respond to the student. So we let them know if they would be eligible or not. And to be eligible, there's various ways that somebody could be eligible. Family members can be eligible too for education benefits. So we go through that process with them, explain to them how that works, what they would need to provide VA to show the eligibility there, and VA will respond to them in a month letting them know their decision. So at that point, once they get their approval letter, which we call a certificate of eligibility, then we are able to certify them to VA every semester moving forward so that they can receive those benefits.
Joni, what exactly would you say brought you to Northeast State Community College? Was it one of the programs?
Well, I separated from the Army back in 2009, and then I moved actually home in 2016, and I decided, well, I need to finish my education because I had taken a few classes through one of the military online courses, and I was like, well, and I looked at my sources, but I'd already heard about Northeast State because I actually attended church services with Chris Haichu, and he had told me a lot about Northeast when I was young. So I was like, I'm going to go check it out. And then I ended up talking to Miss Kelso, and I was just like, okay, I think this is the perfect fit for me. It was an easier transition because it was community college, and the people in the VA Affairs office go above and beyond to make sure that you get everything that you need in order to start school.
So you mentioned that you served in the military. How long were you in the military?
I was active duty Army for 7 years. I got out as E5, which is a sergeant. I just decided that it wasn't best for my family life at the time because I do have children. And I wanted to be a mother and give them more of a stable home instead of like moving from post to post to post to post, So my family dynamics changed, and I wanted something different for my family.
And so this program, I guess in specifics, is good for people like, you mentioned they may have children or whatever.
Definitely.
What kind of things, this question for you, Jessica, what kind of things does your office handle like on a day-to-day basis?
Gosh, it could be a range of things. As I mentioned already, we will assist brand new students who are coming in, or if they're returning or they're transferring from another school. So whatever that may include, we will assist them with that. We get out in the community a lot. We do we do unit visits with the local Guard and Reserve units. We'll go down to Mountain Home. We're members of the Tri-Cities Military Affairs Council. We'll get out to job fairs, college fairs. We really try to get out in the community and discuss the things that Northeast State can do for you. And a new initiative we've got is Military Prior Learning Assessment, or you'll hear us call it PLA for short. And really what that means is awarding veterans and service members equivalent academic credit for the military experience that they have. So we work on things like that with our students. We have numerous events that we'll do each semester. We'll try to do scholarship tips workshops. We had our university transfer workshop yesterday. So just to try to get them prepared for once they leave Northeast State.
Now you mentioned the program, Jessica, about PLA. How does somebody who's like served in the military, how do they become a part of that program?
Sure. So service members and veterans have what's called a joint service transcript. It's really quite simple to obtain. It's just a matter of logging into a website, creating a user ID, and then you're able to print it off literally right there. So once we get that joint service transcript, Clancy, that is Clancy's position here, he deals with that. But he will take that joint service transcript and he will review it per ACE, or it's American Council on Education, and they will recommend credit for the MOSs, or the occupations that one would have in the military, and the courses they took. And what he will do is he will get with the faculty reviewers that we have, the subject matter experts, so to speak, and we're at that point able to tell them what kind of equivalent academic credit they can get. So we've had numerous students, have a semester or two of credit they're bringing in from their military service.
So also, Jessica, how much credit could a person from the military, how much could they apply to that?
Well, it really depends on how long they were in. If you were, if you're E5, E6, E7 or above, you're going to have a little more time in, a little more experience there. So depending on what your major is here, you can accept all of that credit that applies to your program. So as I mentioned, you can have 1, maybe 2 semesters, you already have that credit coming in. So, you could potentially save yourself 1, 2 semesters of time and education benefits from your military experience.
And a question here for you, Joni. Exactly, did you apply credits towards the?
Oh yes, I had probably 60 plus credits coming in just from my military experience. But where I'm going into IT, it kind of advanced me because that's what I'm taking now. I'm doing a system administration, so it kind of aligns with what I did in the military.
So a question here, Jessica. Can you tell us about the GI Bill? I know you mentioned it earlier. What it is and how it pertains to what your office actually deals with.
Sure. So to be eligible for GI Bill, there's a couple of different ways. The current service members are eligible for a version of Montgomery. Our veterans are also eligible for the other version of Montgomery and the new one called Post 9/11. And our dependents can be eligible for Post 9/11 or Dependents Educational Assistance Program. So each of those are a little different. They pay a little different. Some of our students will receive a monthly stipend of over $1,000. Others will have their tuition paid directly. It really just kind of depends on the program that you are eligible for. So when you come in, we'll let you know which one you're going to be eligible for. And if you're eligible for more than one, which can happen, then we'll just sit down and talk to you about which one would benefit you more than the other so that you can make the best decision for you. So once we do that, like I mentioned, you'll apply for your benefit and we'll get the ball rolling so that you can start receiving that benefit.
Can you tell us a little bit about the qualifications for the GI Bill?
Yes, I can. So our most popular one, and you may have heard of it, is the Post 9/11 GI Bill. That's what Miss Joni here uses. Those are our veterans, and some spouses and children can be eligible for that one. So for that one, you have to have served at least 90 days after 9/11, and it is at a percentage. So if you have at least 3 years active duty, you would receive the entire benefit, and it's a really great benefit. What it does, it will pay the school your tuition. It pays you up to $1,000 for books and supplies, and it pays you a monthly stipend that we call BAH or MHA. It's a monthly housing allowance. That goes directly to the veteran, and they can use that for whatever it is they might need. And for dependents to be eligible for it, the veteran would have transferred it to them while they were active duty.
Also, Jessica, what kind of employment resources does your office have available?
Sure. Well, through Tri-Cities Military Affairs Council, or TCMAC, like I mentioned, we have a lot of connections through there. We work with our Career Services office. And we actually have some people come in from the community to speak with our SVA at times, or to come into our vet centers and just make themselves available to talk to anyone interested in looking for a job, to discuss possible careers.
How can the families and dependents of student and veterans use your office?
Pretty much the same way veterans can. I mean, as I mentioned, we're a one-stop shop, so we can help you with anything from getting enrolled at the college to starting your financial aid process, helping you apply for scholarships, of course helping you apply for your GI Bill if you're eligible for one of those. And they, military affiliated students are always invited to all of our events that we have, our workshops that we have, so they are entitled to those same services.
I actually had a friend recently, and it wasn't Northeast State directly, but they had actually thought about applying. And I had mentioned it to him because, there's some good programs for, somebody who's already been in the military, needs to serve, or whatever. For somebody who's maybe just on the edge, just kind of riding along there, what would you say to, maybe go ahead and just say, hey, check this program out. You need to give it a chance.
Yeah, sure. I mean, we like to invite people out to our office, to our vet centers. We have 3 vet centers. We have one on the main campus, we have one in Johnson City, and we have one in Kingsport. And basically what those vet centers are, they're just a nice, I guess you could call it kind of like a lounge or a break room for our student veterans, and they can go in there. They have computers, they have printers, televisions, there's entertainment in there as far as video games and things like that, lunch areas. So it's a nice place for them to go and kind of unwind, but also have the support of each other. So we like to invite people to come check that out.
Joni, what made you make the transfer all the way from military into a completely different field?
Mainly I kind of got a little burnout on some of the stuff that I was doing. I work directly under Brigade Division Command, which is like your higher ups, your top brass people, and a lot of them are not so, computer savvy. So amongst all the regular tasks that you have to do from day to day, which may not necessarily get done that day because you got a colonel or a sergeant major or somebody who doesn't know what they're doing, but they know just enough to tear something up. So you end up working in their office versus, doing your daily tasks. So I kind of stepped away from that world for a while. And when I was doing my online courses, as I mentioned before, I was going through Colorado Tech and I was doing business stuff, and I'm like, this isn't interesting either. But then when I got to Northeast, and then I realized I want to be a business analyst. And to do that, you have to have certifications in both the computer world and the business world. So I kind of tacked on my computer science, which is computer information technology now, last semester, so I tacked on a few more hours of learning there. But yeah, it's I've already got a job interview when I graduate from Northeast State with a business firm that I hooked up with at National Conference. SVA hosted in Orlando, Florida. Our chapter actually was the first time that we got to go since its establishment in 2013. So learned a lot, brought a lot of information back for our chapter, and even got a job while doing it. So
That's the best case scenario.
yes, most definitely.
So can you also describe the student life? I mean, switching from the military into the...
Well, I mean, it was a little difficult at first. Jessica knows. I've been in her office to vent a few times. You know, you go from full military. There's like this, you know, there's this thing when you handle stuff in the military. You know, you deal with people like you, but then when you get out and you're dealing with people that don't understand the experiences that you went through, it's kind of a difficult process. Like, they sympathize because there's a lot of information out there now, but at the same time, they don't really understand like these walls that you're hitting. So my first semester was a little overwhelming at first, but then I got involved with the Student Veterans of America and kind of got thrown into the events coordinator position. Didn't really know what I was doing at first, but it helped me complete that transition and become more social and more interactive with not only my peers and my fellow veterans, but even more traditional students now, and also be able to communicate with the staff and faculty when I'm having those off days or something's just not coincided with the way I think it should happen. You know, I can actually communicate those things now.
What all has the Veterans Affairs Office helped you with?
That's a long list. They've helped me cope with becoming a student again, because being out of school, like an actual brick and mortar class, since high school, which was like back in 2002, and then all of a sudden just kind of jumping back in, it's a little bit of a change, and they just encouraged me to stick with it, don't give up. You know, they've helped me with my paperwork, they've helped me change my major twice now, tack on an extra major. They've helped me with, I started attending the TC-MAC organization meetings with them as part of leadership of SVA. And then I decided that it was a great organization, and I became an individual member. So when I graduate, I'm still going to be part of that, because it's an organization consisting of different, not only veteran organizations, but community organizations that go out of their way to help veterans, and it's a grassroots operation. And I want to consistently be a part of that for the rest of my life.
So how did you hear about the Veterans Affairs Office?
Well, I dealt with the VA rep for Colorado Tech, so I was like, well, maybe it's the same way. And at first, admissions kind of got a little confused when I applied originally. They're like, oh, blah, blah, blah. And then I was like, nope, I'm a veteran. And then they sent me to Miss Kelso here, and we started corresponding in email. And then I finally met her face to face, and we kind of got it straight after that. So,
Jessica, what are the benefits of utilizing the services offered in the Veterans Affairs Office?
I think Joni touched on quite a bit of it. With our office, since we're dealing with around 450 students, so that's a big number, but not an overwhelmingly large number. So we're able to form relationships with our students. So when you're able to form relationships with your students, you're able to recognize when maybe there's something there that they don't have that they need. We can refer them to the services that can help them maybe a little bit quicker if they've got a relationship with someone. They go through our veterans orientations, and during those orientations we invite several of our reps from around the campus to come out and talk about the services that they offer, so that they're aware up front, what's on the campus as far as maybe disability services, counseling, tutoring, things of that nature. So I think really the most important part is being able to form that relationship with us so that if there is anything that they might need in the future, they feel comfortable with us to come down and, let us know what's going on in their lives so that we can help them get through it and be successful.
And Joni, would your college experience be different if you hadn't gotten help from the Veterans Affairs Office right now?
I would say much different. I would probably would have just called it quits after the first semester because my first semester was a little rough. Again, I was transitioning into that student lifestyle, and I wasn't comprehending socially, because it's a whole different world. But once I got hooked up with them, and then again the student veterans, and I started hanging out in the vet center, I regained that camaraderie that was lost when you get out of the military. And I think as student veterans, we require that just to be successful, really. So.
And Jessica, how can students contact the Veterans Affairs Office?
Okay. They can call us directly. Two phone numbers, 423-354-2527 or 423-354-2528. You can also email us at veteransaffairs@northeaststate.edu. Again, that's veteransaffairs@northeaststate.edu. And we do have a portion on the website. So if you go to Northeast State's homepage, under Financial Aid, you will find Veterans Affairs link, and it takes you to a lot of really good information.
So they can jump on the website and see all that?
Yep.
And you had mentioned earlier, too, this is another way, I'm sure, of involvement, but y'all have different involvement with the community, different programs. Can you tell us a little bit about that?
Yes, well, TC-MAC we keep bringing up. We're a big part of them, so we meet with them monthly. We also are involved with our local employment agency, so we have a good relationship with them. So sometimes we'll go out, we might meet with some veterans on their location, or they may come out to our location and meet in the vet centers with our students. We do go down to Mountain Home at times, and we have a good relationship with the Veterans Upward Bound program in Johnson City, and they will help veterans get enrolled in school. So, that's how they come out here to Northeast State at times, is through that program.
Joni, what would you say to another student who's been a vet that may be thinking about getting help from this office?
I would tell them do it because they can tell you stuff maybe you don't know. There's general things. You're encouraged to use your GI Bill when you get out, when you're out processing. But there's steps that they don't tell you. Like those of us that paid into the Montgomery GI Bill, when I out processed, it was still at that phase of, okay, here's your paperwork. You need to sign up for this GI Bill. Bye. There was no extra help. Of course, a lot of that's changed now. They're trying to actually help veterans out process and transition better. So there's been a little bit more focus on that, especially I've probably seen it in the news and the media. VFW, American Legions they're pushing for that. But so like if they have the Montgomery GI Bill and maybe they want to have that extra funding for their school, they can encourage them to do that. They can give them the information that maybe somebody out processing just decided never to give them, or maybe didn't know.
What about government cutbacks? Do you think that could affect the program?
No, not any longer. Thanks to our VFWs and our American Legions, and also the National SVA as well, which were also responsible for the post 9/11. They have created a fund so that should the government shut down or if there's cutbacks, it's basically a fund to make sure our veterans are not shorted on their education or on their disability benefits. Because I call it disability benefits, but because technically that's what it's called, but the way it's actually looked at is those are the things that you earned while you were in. You maybe not just myself, but other veterans, and this is what I explain to people when they go to get their benefits or even their education. This is what is owed you because you completely took this whole chunk out of your life that you completely signed away to go do something that your country wanted you to do. So this is yours. This is set aside for you. So I highly encourage my fellow veterans, hey, if you don't know something, ask John or Jessica. If they don't know, they will find somebody that does. So I feel like the VA office is a very resourceful office, and they go above and beyond their duties to help the veterans and even their spouses and dependents and even survivors. Because there's also the Fry Scholarship now. So,
What would you say, Joni, for maybe somebody, what would hold a student back, or not a student, but a potential student, somebody who's served in the military, but they need to get this kind of involvement, but what do you think would hold them back?
when you get out of the military, all of a sudden you just want to be by yourself. You know, you tend to become more or less a hermit, I want to say, because you've been so involved in something for so long, it's like you need this break. But sometimes we tend to get, and I include myself in this because for a couple of years I kind of got complacent. I got very comfortable in that hermit zone kind of say, you know. And so students tend to do that, especially veterans. We're very bad for it. We just get complacent and we don't want that change. A lot of times we're afraid of the change. And I believe that's just anybody, but we get stuck in that and we're perfectly comfortable and we think we're okay, and then all of a sudden we're like, man, I need to make more money, I need to get a better job. Well, I don't want to do this because I have to change my routine, or I have to change this, or I'll have to go back to school, you know, that's too much work, or, you know, they either second guess themselves, or they have all this other stuff, I don't know if I can do this, you know, just stuff like that, just, you know, minute stuff that really they've made way bigger in their head that's really not.
It's so important to get involved with a program like that. You know, if they need, you know, to jump out into a career. Jessica, if you could tell us about that, how important is it for somebody looking into a program to jump aboard and do this?
Well, like she's saying, you know, sometimes you can get too comfortable in doing what you're doing. You tell yourself, oh, I can just, you know, I'll look into this next semester, and then it becomes the next semester, and so on and so forth. And then before you know it, you know, 3 years or more have gone by. So, you know, you want to go ahead and take advantage of it so that you can, you know, get in there. You know, time goes by. My old boss used to tell me, just do it, because 6 months is going to be 6 months. So you can either go ahead and make the change now, 6 months later, or you can not, and it's still going to be 6 months later and you haven't done anything. So, you know, you want to go ahead and you want to take advantage of your GI Bill. We have so many other financial opportunities now, scholarships, you've got Reconnect, you've got Promise. There's just so many things out there now for people. And then, you know, before you know it, you'll be graduated and you'll be in that career field.
Thank you so much, ladies, for being on the show. It's been great to have y'all.
Thanks for having us.
Thank you.
Thank you. We'll be back in just a moment to wrap up Direction Northeast.
Over 10 years in investigations.
25 in heating and air conditioning.
15 years in the automotive industry.
22 in computer science.
23 years in healthcare.
An engineer.
A biochemist.
A chemist.
An award-winning author.
Northeast State professors bring experience to the classroom, a personal education from a professional. Classes when you need them, where you need them. More than 150 programs. Visit northeaststate.edu. Northeast State Community College. We're here to get you there.
That concludes the program for today. We've talked with Jessica Kelso and Joni Hughes about the Veterans Affairs Department at Northeast State. Community is very important to the students at Northeast State Community College, and this program takes a few of the subjects that they find important and takes a look at them. Until we meet next time, on behalf of the students, staff, and faculty of Northeast State Community College, I'm Kid Alexander, and this is Direction Northeast.